from the governor, and a small chest of gold and silver. With this news, Judah and his friends had spent the last 2 months trying to determine which night these soldiers arrived, and at which gate. 3 weeks ago they had found out both, the first day of the week at the Joppa gate. With this knowledge they began to monitor weekly activity, and a clear pattern had emerged. A group of 5 Roman cavalry arrived at the gate at approximately 9 o'clock. Each time they carried a small scroll which the guard noted but did not inspect, and a small chest which the guard always opened. After this brief interaction with the gate guards, they proceeded through the city to the Antonia fortress, the Roman military headquarters in Jerusalem. They used the same route every time, a route that gave Judah the perfect place for an ambush. "We have planned, we have trained, and we have purified our hearts before God. As he did with our ancestors before us, God will surely match our faithfulness with his own. He will meet us in the battle and give us victory. Tonight Rome will bleed, but it will not be the last time. Tonight we deliver a mere flesh wound, but it will be the first of many. In the end, our resolve will drive these vile Romans from our holy city." Again a roar filled the hall. "The time has come. You know what to do. God grant us strength and victory." They left the scriptorium, made their way through the house above, and scattered through a variety of exits into the cool Jerusalem evening. They had planned the routes to their stations to avoid attention or suspicion. Each concealed a small bow and a quiver of arrows beneath a heavy cloak. Roman authorities did not allow the inhabitants of Jerusalem to possess such weapons, but one could procure them with the proper connections. Judah and his 9 companions had been secretly training with the bow for a little over a year. It would be the best way to ambush and kill Roman soldiers, who were virtually unbeatable in close combat. As Judah made his way to his assigned station, he thought of his father, Isaac. It was his father who repeatedly told him the stories of Joshua, Samson, Jonathan, David, and his own namesake, Judah, called Maccabeus, who smashed the pagan Greek armies like a hammer and led the Jews to independence just 200 years ago. "These are men of true faith," his father would say. "They did not sit back and wait like cowards for God to move on their behalf. They stepped out in faith, met God's enemies head-on, and God rewarded that faith with victory." His father despised the Pharisees, a sect of Jews who opposed any violent resistance and taught the people that they could only obtain God's promises through patience and purity. Such ideas were laughable, as if the proper washing of hands or strict forms of Sabbath observance would have the Romans shaking in their boots. Though the Pharisees were certainly no friends of Rome, their teaching was rendering the people powerless. It was this system that allowed Rome to exercise its pagan authority in the holiest of cities. But things were starting to change. There was a growing unrest in the city. Judah could feel it. The patience called for by the Pharisees was wearing thin, and the desire for deliverance was beginning to grow greater than the fear of Roman power. Judah knew all they needed was a spark, something that would turn the embers of discontent into the fire of revolution. His deepest desire was to be that spark. Judah came to the place of the planned ambush. Here the road made a sharp 90-degree right turn, and then, after about 60 feet, it picked up its original direction by making a sharp left turn. This created a small space in which they could easily hem in the 5 mounted soldiers. Judah had placed his men on the surrounding rooftops, which were relatively low, giving each a good angle on his target, but also providing cover from which they could shoot. He placed 3 archers, including himself, facing the approaching soldiers, and a single archer each on the soldiers' right and left flanks. The goal was for these 5 archers to do the most damage. They would have the element of surprise, and if their arrows flew true, they had a chance of taking out all the soldiers. Judah knew this was unlikely, but he hoped the initial attack would eliminate at least 3. Judah placed the remaining 5...